Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss VMware vSphere, and I will also give you some demo that how the different features of VMware vSphere works. So in this session, basically this is one of my VMware vExpert webinar series, because every year I deliver some uh, lectures, some free webinars, and I share my experience with the audience, to the community. So this is one of uh, the session. Let me mute you all. I think Mr. Muzammil. Okay. And also this is going to be a demo session for my training, which I'm going to start next week. The proper official training, which is a 40 hours training. So I will try to introduce all the features and discuss the course outline and the objective what we will learn in this session. So let's move forward. Uh, Course introduction. So as in vSphere administrator, we acquire knowledge about vSphere components and resources and how they work together in your environment. If you can mute yourself, guys, so that would be good. There is a question. You can unmute or you can just post it in the chat, but most of the time, please keep your mic mute. So as we can see here, uh, this is the what is okay. Before I start the slides things, I'm basically a whiteboard guy. So I will open my whiteboard and I will try to draw something on my whiteboard. So uh, do you guys have any knowledge? Uh, I know some of the people have experience with the VMware technologies, but I can also see some uh, beginners. So do you have any idea what is VMware? Can someone just post it in the chat that what is VMware? I will keep it very basic because I want to, uh, the purpose of this session is that after the session, at least you can have some idea regarding VMware and their product line and the technologies itself. So anyone, can someone just unmute or just post it in the chat that what is VMware?
VMware is the virtualization technology. It is used to split the hardware into virtualization.
Mhm.
Correct?
Anyone
Yeah,
else?
as per my knowledge.
Okay. Okay, I think only one guy has responded. Thank you. If we write VMware, it is basically a company. Yep. Uh, VMware is an American cloud computing and virtualization technology company. Recently, it has been acquired by Broadcom. So as we can see here, it is also updated here that the parent organization is now Broadcom. So VMware is under the portfolio of Broadcom now. So when you visit their website, you can see the products options. When you click the product line, we can see different product lines here, right? Uh, we can see VMware Cloud Foundation, vSphere, vSAN, NSX, ARIA. These are the products. VMware Workstation Pro. Maybe some of you are already using that product for your personal desktop hypervisor. Is a desktop hypervisor. So we have these product lines. Uh, there were some product like VMware Workspace One and VMware Horizon. So those products are now under Omniso. It's another company. So when we write omnisa.com, so now the end user computing product is under this organization, right? So it's not under VMware now. So today's lecture is about this product, which is called vSphere, right? So what is vSphere? So VMware is the name of the company and vSphere is the name of the product. which consists of two software. One is ESXi and the other one is called ESXi hypervisor, and the second product name is vCenter server. Just like in Microsoft Office, we have multiple products. So vSphere is basically a suite, just like MS Office is a suite, and it consists of MS Word, MS PowerPoint, MS Excel, etc. So the same story is here. VMware vSphere is a product, is a suite, and which consists of ESXi hypervisor and vCenter server. What is ESXi hypervisor? We are going to discuss it today. You will learn about it. And I will also show you the demo of the product itself. So at least you have an idea. So that's the story. So if we go back to the slides, the title itself explained that in this session, we are going to discuss how we can install this product, how we can configure this product, and how we can manage this product. So this is the name of the training. And this is, and when you complete this training, you can take the VMware certified professional exam. So the certification aligned to this training is VCP DCV, VMware Certified Professional Data Center Virtualization, right? So this product is basically used to virtualize the server hardware. So as we can see here, this is one of the diagram. We have server hardware, Dell server, maybe HPE server, maybe Lenovo servers. They have installed ESXi on top of these server hardware, and they created virtual machines, right? So they virtualized their server hardware using ESXi hypervisor. So this course is designed for those people who wants to learn the skills, how to install, deploy, and managing the vSphere environment, right? The objective of today's lecture is these points we are going to discuss. So we will start from installing and configuring ESXi. Then we will discuss what is vCenter server and how we can deploy vCenter server and how to configure it. Then we will discuss the inventory of the vCenter. We will talk about standard and distributed switches. Then we will discuss the storage technologies, the VM, templates, clones, snapshots. So all these topics we are going to discuss. So we are not going to discuss it in detail, but just a high level overview. So at least you can have the idea that what are the features available in these in this product, right? So let me pause for a while, and I'm going to give you some time if you have any question. Because usually my sessions are interactive, so if you have any question, feel free to post your question in the chat.
Kashif, can you explain the means type 1 or type 2 hypervisor? What are these?
Okay. Yep, I will
I
do.
think it's very important to understand.
Yep, let
Okay.
me. Yep. Thank you, Deepak. So, okay, I think I should start from this thing. As Deepak mentioned that I need to explain the hypervisor. So I will discuss it after a while. As we can see here, I just write ESXi hypervisor, right? So normally, I think all of you are familiar with computer hardware. Everyone know that when we have hardware, it consists of RAM, CPU, disk, right? And network adapter, right? Then if we want to play with this hardware, we install something called operating system, right? Operating system. It could be, let's say, Windows 11, for example. And then we install uh, applications, whatever applications we have. This is the normal, the traditional computing structure, right? In this course, what we are going to learn on top of the hardware, let's say we have a hardware, computer hardware. Instead of operating system, we install hypervisor, right? So ESXi hypervisor, we install this thing. And after installing the hypervisor, we are able to run virtual machine on top of this. And this technology is called virtualization. So virtualization is the technology. In the benefit of this technology is to reduce. Sorry, guys. Okay. So operating system we install on top of this. Let's say we install applications, something like that, right? So normally in traditional computing, right, a single hardware has a single operating system and application. So there are some limitation or disadvantage of this approach. If something happens to the hardware, the operating system will stop working and the application will stop working. So this is the desktop machine. Let's say instead of Windows 11, let's say you have Windows Server operating system installed. So I believe all of you are familiar with server operating system as well. If not, I have some lectures available on my YouTube channel. You can watch them and you will have the idea regarding a server operating system as well. So server operating system, let's say we have some databases, some email services, file services, these are running here. So again, this is not a good approach because normally in production environment, for every application, we use a separate operating system. I don't want to go to that detail, but just try to give you an idea regarding the hypervisor. I think all of you have a laptop, maybe some has 16 GB laptop. Maybe they have 8 cores of CPU on that machine. Let's say you have 1 TB of disk, right? So when we power on our machine, right? Maybe my RAM utilization is not 16 GB. Let's say my RAM utilization is 4 GB. So it means 12 GB RAM is still there available, right? So I'm also doing my PhD in this field. So I was reading a research paper and they mentioned that in not in data centers, right? The resources utilization is an average utilization of the resources is only 15 to 25%. This is the normal average utilization of the data center, right? So because of the virtualization technology, we can make these utilization up to 65 to 85%. 85%. So we can virtualize our hardware using hypervisor. Let's say I have installed the hypervisor on top of the hardware. Then we can create virtual machines. And each virtual machine consists of VRAM. Just like RAM, we have VRAM, CPU, vCPU, virtual disk, virtual network. I will explain it in details how we can share our physical resources with the virtual machine, how virtual machine communicate with each other, right? So this is the story. So if you don't know about hypervisor, hypervisor is a special type of software, right? Hypervisor is a software, or you can call it operating system. So before starting the slides, let me explain the hypervisor a little bit. What is hypervisor? So hypervisor virtualize our hardware. So we have two types of hypervisor. One is called type 1 and the other one is called type 2. Type 1 hypervisor can be run on the hardware directly. And for type 2 hypervisor, let's say you have this machine. This is your hardware, let's say, right? And you have Windows 11 installed. On top of Windows 11, you install hypervisor. So this is the example of type 2 hypervisor. So type 2 hypervisor needs an operating system to be installed on the hardware first, and then we install the hypervisor, and then we are able to run virtual machines, right? So this is the example of type 2 hypervisor. And this example is basically the type 1 hypervisor example, right? So I think you guys are already familiar with VMware Workstation. Maybe you have heard about VMware Workstation, right? Maybe you have heard about Oracle Virtual Box. These are type 2 hypervisor. And the examples of type 1 hypervisor are VMware ESXi. We have Microsoft Hyper-V, right? In Citrix hypervisor, the formal name was Zen Server. So we have different options available, right? So today's webinar or today's session is regarding VMware technology. So I will be more focusing on VMware ESXi stuff. Let me share my lab with you guys. As you can see here, this is the one of my ESXi host in my lab. Let me log into my hardware, right? This is the interface of the ESXi hypervisor. You guys can see I have 16 virtual machines here. If I show you the specification of this hardware, I have a Dell Precision Tower. This is the Dell. Let me show you the hardware model. Dell Precision Tower 7810. This is the workstation. This is the hardware I have. What I did, instead of operating system means Windows 10, Windows Server, I install ESXi hypervisor directly. And then I created these virtual machines. You can see I have multiple virtual machines. Windows 10 VM, I have Windows Server VMs here. I can power on the virtual machines, and I can play with these virtual machines just like I'm doing my work on the physical machine. So the first objective of this course or this training is how we can install ESXi and how we can configure ESXi. So the installation, how we can install the hypervisor, and how we can configure these things, right? If you want to learn yourself, there is an option available for you guys. You can write VMware HL in the browser, and then you can visit this site. Let me share the link with you guys in the chat box so that you have available. Okay. So when you log into this interface, this is the interface. Create an ID for yourself. I have already logged in with my account, and you can write Virtualization 101 here. This is the lab. You want to search for this lab, right? Once you search for this lab, you can enroll yourself and you can log into the lab. For those who want to learn this technology in detail, I'm also starting my batch from next Saturday. It will be Saturday and Sunday every weekend, 2 hours Saturday and 2 hours Sunday. But at least if you are not able to join the training, so let me show you this interface. You can log into this interface and you can start from the manual. You can scroll to right, first understand the technology. You can also make your note. You can download these diagrams, and it will also demonstrate you how there is a simulation available of the ESXi installation. So you can play with all these things, right? So I'm not going to do any lab today, just a demonstration I will perform because of the time and because we have to cover many topics. So which is why I will just explain the high level overview. Now you can see here. You can watch this video and understand how to install the hypervisor. I have some lectures available on my channel. You can also go through that and you can build your own lab as well. So this is the interaction, right? See, it will guide you. Click on this icon. Then it will say, click on this bookmark. So this is the environment. This is the platform where you can do the hands-on labs, right? So I just log into the VMware HL platform. So this is the VMware HL platform, which is available freely for everyone. You can just create an account and you can log in and you can do all the tasks related to this technology. And this is my personal machine. Okay. What is vCenter server? Let's say you have ESXi 1, you have ESXi 2, and let's say you have ESXi 3. Let's say you have 3 hardware, server hardware, or 3 ESXi host, and you want to manage them individually. So let me just show you something. In this VMware HL, they have 3 ESXi hosts already available. So let me copy the bookmark here. And let me open another tab. I will paste it here. Instead of 3, I will write 1 and I will log into ESXi 1. So this is another host. So if you have multiple ESXi hosts, right, and you are managing them separately, so it's like a difficult task for an administrator. So what we can do, we can deploy vCenter server in our environment. We can connect all the 3 ESXi hosts to my vCenter server, and we can manage the 3 hypervisor from a single dashboard. So in this lab, they already have vCenter server deployed. So I will just log into the vCenter server. In the actual training, we will discuss, we have a separate module for vCenter server, module number 4, in which we will learn how to deploy the product, how to deploy vCenter server, and how to log into vCenter server. And let's say if you have another host, how to add another host to vCenter server. So let me just give you a demonstration. I already have 2 ESXi hosts connected here. So if you want to add the third ESXi host in vCenter server, you can simply add it, right? So that is the story. So I'm going to add ESXi host. And I just added another ESXi host. So now I have 3 ESXi hosts connected to vCenter server. I can manage them all, right? And instead of managing them individually, I can manage them using vCenter server. So vCenter server is basically the administration or management software, right? So let's go back to the next objective. So we discussed these things. So we learned how to install the product. We talked about vCenter server and the interface which we log in, that is the vCenter inventory. We will also discuss vSphere standard switch and distributed switch. If you have 4 physical machines, right? So let's say you have 10 machines, 10 computers, you want to connect them. Maybe you need Cisco Ethernet switch. Cisco is one of my favorite technologies, so which is why I mentioned Cisco. So see, these are the Cisco switches. We connect our machines using these switches. Similarly, if you have virtual machines here, you can see I have 16 virtual machines. So there are standard switch. There is a standard switch. We can see what is standard switch, vSphere standard switch, right? So let me give you an overview. Let's say you have let me change the font color so that you can understand this. For example, you have server hardware, right? And you have installed ESXi hypervisor on top of this. Once you install ESXi hypervisor on the hardware, by default, a virtual switch is created. vSphere standard switch. Sorry, let me write virtual switch for now. And virtual switch consists of virtual machine port group we have a separate topic, a separate module for virtual networking, uh, which covers the standard switch and distributed switch topic. So both type of switches will be discussed in that module, module number 5. Virtual machine port group, right? Virtual machine port group is used to connect. Let's say you have these virtual machines. For example, I have these virtual machines, right? So if these virtual machines wants to communicate with each other, they will be connected to the virtual machine port. If they want to communicate with the outside network, physical network, so let's say you have a Cisco switch, right? And your server hardware has Ethernet adapter, right? So the physical interface will be connected to the virtual switch, which is also called uplink, right? So virtual machine also use a virtual machine has virtual NIC, as we discuss. Let me show you something. Hardware has RAM, CPU, disk, and network adapter. So similarly, a virtual machine has VRAM, vCPU, vDisk, and vNIC, right? So this is how. So this is this was the fourth objective, right? So I'm just trying to explain how things work, and you can see here practically we have a standard switch. All the virtual machines are connected to the virtual machine port group, and this is the VM kernel port group, which is used for IP communication. So IP services like management, IP storage, vMotion, all these things. What is vMotion? We will discuss that as well. And what is distributed switch? So it's available through vCenter server, right? And I can see this is the distributed switch. This is the distributed switch, and it has the port groups. So what is standard switch? What is distributed switch? We will discuss these topics in module number 5. Right, as we can see here, distributed switch analysis. But let me give you an overview. If someone asks you or your management asks you to create another port group or VLAN on your ESXi host. So if you create VLAN 10 here, for example, on ESXi 1, we will repeat the configuration on ESXi 2, 3, and 4. So if we have distributed switch, we can do the configuration once and it will be reflected and it will be available on all the connected host connected to that distributed switch. So it's a separate module, module number 5, which is all about vSphere virtual networking. I also have a lecture available on my YouTube channel. I think it's almost 2 hours lecture. You can go through that lecture as well, and you will get the idea how uh, standard switch and distributed switch works. And uh, I also cover some of the labs here as well. Okay. The next objective is related to storage technologies supported by vSphere, right? If we have ESXi host 1, 2, 3, and each hardware has local storage, right? For example, 1 TB SSD. And these two virtual machine data are stored here. If something happens to this hardware, right, we will not be able to run these virtual machine on these hosts. The reason is because the data of these virtual machines were stored on the local storage, right? So if you have a vSphere environment, we need to have a shared storage available, right? So let me draw a diagram here. Let me just show you. Let's say you have these ESXi hosts connected to the switch. So that's the Ethernet. That's the management network, for example, right? If you are not familiar with storage arrays, try to read the storage arrays. So let's say we have storage array. What is storage array? You can Google it. Storage array, right? These are storage arrays, right? ICM storage, fiber channel storage, NAS, right? Direct attached storage. So we have different options available. So for example, you have this storage array, right? The storage array is connected to the storage switch, right? And each ESXi host or the server hardware will consist of HBA, host bus adapter, or maybe you can call it storage adapter. So module number 6 is all about storage technologies, in which we will learn what are the storage options available for ESXi hypervisor, what is local storage, direct attached storage, VMFS data store, NFS, vSAN, vSphere virtual volumes, fiber channel SAN, right? So all these topics will be discussed in module number 6. And if we log into the VMware HOL lab, and if I click the data stores, right, I can see iSCSI. If I click iSCSI and I click host, so the same data store is connected to all 3 ESXi hosts. So that is a shared storage for all the 3 hosts. So if I create a virtual machine here and I store it in this data store, this virtual machine will be accessible for ESXi 2 and 3 as well, right? And what is the benefit of this? So for some reason, if this host stop working, the hardware, because of the hardware failure, because of any other issue, so the virtual machine will be able to run on these remaining 2 hosts. So we have feature like vMotion. What is vMotion? We will discuss that. We have feature like high availability, DRS feature, fault tolerance. So these features need shared storage. The requirement of these feature is shared storage. So which is why storage technology is very important for this environment. So if you are going to deploy this solution for any data center and any data center, so this is the story. We got multiple options of creating VMs, templates, clones, and snapshots. If I ask you to create a virtual machine, so you can simply log into the host, you can click create a virtual machine, you can write VM, or maybe let me write VCP page 35 Windows 10 VM. From here, you can select the operating system. You can select which operating system, let's say 64-bit, right? You can, let's say 48 GB of disk. and let me attach the ISO image, and let me select the Windows 10, and I can simply power on this virtual machine. What if you have to create, I think I got some, need to do some changes. Let me power off this virtual machine, and let me go to edit settings. I need to do some changes, but let me do one thing. You cannot trust the technology. Sometime it will disappoint you. Sometime when I deliver sessions and I tell my student that, hey, after this option, you will see this thing, and then nothing happens. So it's common. So let me power on this machine. Again, I'm getting the issue. It's because of some changes. So just give me some time. Did I change the settings to okay? And I think I need to attach the ISO image again. It is attached. Everything looks good. Let's see. I think. Let me power on this machine for now. So let's say you have installed operating system on this VM, then you install applications. What if your management asks you to create 10 virtual machines of Windows 10, install MS Office on each machine, and install Zoom application on each machine? So I think you are going to repeat the same task 10 times. So we do have option available, which is called template. For example, I have this Windows 10 virtual machine available, and I want the same copy of this virtual machine. I can simply click on this virtual machine, and I can click clone to template or clone to virtual machine. When I click clone to virtual machine, the exact copy of this virtual machine will be created, which will have the same operating system, same settings. So using these features, we can save our administration task, right? We got snapshot, we got clones option, right? So these topic will be discussed in module number 7, I believe. We got content library options available. How to migrate virtual machine. Let me just show you. This is one of the good option. Let's say you can see here, this Windows 10 machine is currently running on which host? ESXi 2. I want to move this virtual machine, power on virtual machine from 2 to 1. How I can do that? You can simply right click on the VM, right? You can click migrate. You can select the host, for example, ESXi 1. And from one hardware to another hardware, you can move a power on virtual machine. And this type of migration is called vMotion. vMotion means moving a powered on VM from one ESXi host to another one. So let's say you have 3 server hardware, and let me give you, for example, you have a laptop and you have an application running on your laptop, and you want to move that application from your laptop to another laptop. Is it possible? It is not possible, but Because of the virtualization technology, because of the vSphere technology, you can move a powered on virtual machine. This is not that much easy because this lab is already ready. But in module number 8, we will learn how to build an environment, how to do the basic configuration to enable vMotion, right? So which is why they designed module number 8. They added module number 8 in this, right? Manage virtual machine, migrate virtual machine, how to do storage vMotion. Storage vMotion means if you have a virtual machine, right? Uh, this virtual machine data is stored on disk 1. For example, you have disk 1 and you have disk number 2. You have this virtual machine, right? And this virtual machine data is stored in disk 1. You want to change the location of this virtual machine because there is some issue in disk 1. The performance is not good. You want to move it to disk 2. So this feature is called storage migration. And we can also do this thing even if the virtual machine is running. And if the virtual machine is running and we change the storage of the virtual machine, this technique is called storage vMotion, right? So this is also module number 8 topic of this course. We have high availability. What is high availability? If we have 3 ESXi hosts and one of the host is down, automatically these virtual machine will be restarted on the remaining host, right? So this is the high availability feature. We got FT feature. In high availability, there will be a little downtime because the virtual machine will be restarted. Is my voice clear, guys?
Yes, Kashif, yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for confirmation. So high availability, we were talking about high availability. And high availability, there will be a downtime, but we got another feature called FT. And FT, what happens actually? When we enable FT for this virtual machine, for example, a shadow copy will be created, let's say on this ESXi host. So whatever we do here, the same thing will be happening here as well. But this will be a shadow copy. If something happens here in this hardware, so this shadow copy will become inactive or primary, right? So it's not a good practice to enable FT for all the virtual machine because you will need double resources. For example, you are running this virtual machine here and you need 12 GB RAM for this virtual machine. So the same 12 GB RAM will be needed here, and it means like double resources will be required. So if there is a critical virtual machine, you can enable FT for that. If not, high availability is always there. You can use that. We got another option called DRS, Distributed Resource Scheduler. Let's say you have 3 ESXi hosts. Let's say I give you a task. For example, you have 30 virtual machines, right? And you have 4 ESXi hosts. How you are going to distribute this workload? If I ask you that let's say you have these 4 ESXi hosts and we have total 30 virtual machines. how you are going to distribute the workload. Anyone? What will be your approach? Maybe you divide 30, divide by 4, right? Let's say you open the calculator and you write 30 divide by 4. Let's say 7 virtual machine per host, or maybe 8 virtual machine per host. What if one of the virtual machine workload is more than the other one? What if there is some performance issue? So for such scenario, we can enable a feature called Distributed Resource Scheduler, DRS. So when we enable DRS feature, right, it will automatically distribute your workload. So if you power on these virtual machine, let's say VM1, so the DRS will decide where to place the virtual machine. So this is one of the function of the DRS, initial placement of the virtual machine. Let's say in future, we have this virtual machine running, but the performance of this VM is not good. So DRS can also migrate this virtual machine to another host. So automatically the DRS will migrate this VM to another host and vice versa. Distributed resource scheduler. We have another feature called distributed power management, DPM, right? You can learn about VMware vSphere DPM, distributed power management. What is distributed power management? For example, you have 4 ESXi hosts or 4 server hardware, right? So during daytime, there is heavy workload. So all the 4 hardwares are running. Let's say during nighttime or weekends, the workload is very low. So DPM and DRS feature will work together and they will migrate all the VMs into 2, like they will uh, uh, put the 2 ESXi host in a sleeping mode. Give me 1 minute. I need a 30-second break, guys. Do you have any question in the meantime? Paulo, you have a question from Mr. Aprasia. Can you answer that? You are mute if you are speaking, by the way. Who can answer this question? The difference between FT and RAID technology. Anyone?
Right, we can configure redundancy and everything. FT, I'm not aware of that.
Anyone else? Basically, RAID is used in storage technologies, you know. We can combine multiple physical disks and create a single volume or single logical volume, right? So FT, fault tolerance. I think FT is a general term you can use for normal FT in firewall. We enable FT and server hardwares and applications, right? So somehow the purpose of we can see the purpose of both is almost same, but the techniques and the use cases are different, right? Okay, so we also discussed the distributed resource scheduler, and lastly we will discuss how we can upgrade the environment. For example, you have ESXi 6.7 installed and you want to upgrade it to 7.0, right? So the last objective of this training or this is upgradation from older version to the latest version. You know, I forgot to introduce myself, guys, today because I started directly. So after 1 hour, I will introduce myself. My name is Kashif Ali, and I belong to a village which is called basically our district. It's located in Pakistan near Swat. It's a valley. I'm doing my PhD in computer sciences, and I'm also working as Insight Solution Architect in one of the US-based company. And most of the project I'm doing the VMware projects in my current role. Also, I'm a lecturer at the University of Agriculture, Peshawar, and I'm also a member of research committee. Uh, Teaching is my passion. I love sharing my knowledge. So I teach Microsoft, VMware, and also cloud technologies, including wireless and even uh, some firewalls. I can also deliver some trainings on the FortiGate firewall or pfSense, Microtech. I started my journey back in 2010 as a student, and then in 2012 I started my career. Uh, I start making money, earning money, and by teaching. So my first job was as a trainer, right? So I have been awarded 4 years uh, as a VMware vExpert. If you don't know what is vExpert, vExpert is basically a recognition which is given to you if you are doing something for the community, if you are sharing your knowledge to the community. So even this year, I will submit this session to my application with my application that I have delivered this session to the audience. And they will just get the idea of the VMware technologies. You can find some of my badges in the Gradly. This is my ID. And if you want to connect with me, so I'm available on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I have some of my lectures available on YouTube. Uh, let's discuss the different certification of the VMware. I can see some of the students or some of the audience, they are the university students. So for them, I will explain something in the a very basic language. Basically, as you know that Microsoft, Cisco, Oracle, Dell, HPE, these are software or hardware companies, right? So some of them, they are working this, some are software companies and some are hardware companies. So let's say, let me uh, write VMware here because we are in the VMware session. So VMware. So when you visit their site, their website, they got different products, right? So how you will prove to the industry that you are expert of this product? So they have designed some courses, and one of the course is this one, VMware vSphere install, configure, manage, ICM. So if you want to start your journey and if you want to start your career in virtualization technology, this is your first step. The VMware vSphere ICM is your first step because in this training, you will learn the basic concept as well, like how to install hypervisor, how to create virtual machines. Once you learn the whole uh, product, right? So there is an exam, which is the professional level. There is a VCTA exam as well available, but I would recommend VCP, and this course covers all the VCP topic. So once you take the VCP exam, specifically VCP and data center, right? So you will achieve this exam, this certification, and then you can prove that certification or show this certification in different organization. So I received my first VCP certification back in December 2014. On 27th December, I took exam and I, alhamdulillah, cleared that exam and I became VCP DCV, VCP 5.5 back in 2014. Then uh, I also have VCP 6.5, then 6.7, and also VCP DW. I have also one of the master badge also available for the digital workspace one. So these are the badges available. So there are some trainings which they don't have certification, but you can receive a badge for them. And for you guys, if you can scan this this code, right? So it will redirect you to this portal, right? You can log into this portal. And once you log into this portal, it will ask for registration. So you can register yourself for free. Once you register yourself, right, there will be a 10 hours free training available. So once you complete that 10 hours free training, right, you will get a badge, an official badge, from VMware side. And you can put that in your CV or LinkedIn profile as well. Right? So these are the topics here. It has some videos. It has also some labs available, right? You can do. So these are the topics. So VCTA, DCV. So as I mentioned here, so this course can be covered from this one. So the VCTA certification topics can be covered from this training. This is mentioned here. So if you want to take a picture of this QR code, it will redirect you to the registration process. And what we have discussed today, these are the outline we discussed today. So this training is basically a 40 hours training, which covers all these 10 modules, including almost 26 labs, right? In which we will cover all these topics. I have a question from Mr. Harihar. Tell me something about VCP certification. So, Mr. Harihar, we are still waiting for some updates, but the certification story is very simple now. If you learn this technology, you can directly take this exam, which cost the exam cost is 250 USD. You can pay this amount. Once you take the exam, you can get this certification. There is no need of official training or submitting course class ID or something like that. Just take the exam and that's it. But first you need skills. You need to have this one. So here I will stop my recording and